everybody, it's Jamie from No Getting Off This Train, and in today's video, we are focusing on lunches for your freezer. Welcome to week 2 of my 4 weeks to fill your freezer series. If you are joining me for the first time, I just want to say welcome, and if you're here back again, I want to say welcome back. If you missed the first week in my series, just check the link in the description. I've got the playlist down there for you guys to check out and get caught up. Last week was breakfast, which means that this week, week 2, is all about the lunches. So I don't know about you guys, but sometimes it is really hard to get lunch ready in the mornings. When you have to get the kids ready for school, when you have to get ready for work. I mean, throwing things together sometimes, you need all the help you can get when it comes to saving time. And that's what these lunches are designed to do. Whether it is handheld like a burrito or just like a regular bowl, these lunches are designed for you to grab and go, which is what a lot of us need. I also try to make them as easy and as healthy as possible. So there you'll see some vegetables in a few of these, and others you'll need to add maybe a vegetable side or something to go with it. And the cool thing about these is that you can have these for lunch, or you can also double these as a dinner, which is what we did as well. And if you are joining me in this 4 weeks to fill your freezer series, you don't have to do all 5 of these recipes in one day. I actually split this up into 3 different days, did a couple recipes each day just so I didn't get overwhelmed. And when you're super busy and don't have a lot of time, sometimes that's all you need to do is just 1 per day. Whether you are following my recipes or your own, let me know what you're doing because I want to see how you are filling your freezer as well. And if you want the printable recipes for all of these, you will find the links to all of them down in the description. Go down there and find my blog post and you can print the recipe down there. So with all that being said, let me take you to the first recipe. So today is Sunday, and as you can see behind me, the first thing I'm going to make are some ham and cheese subs. So you might be wondering, why would you want to make ham and cheese sandwiches ahead of time? Like, isn't it easy to just throw it together in the mornings? Yeah, it is pretty easy to do that in the mornings, but sometimes, honestly, you really just need to like grab something and go. Like, I don't mind putting together Allison's peanut butter and jelly sandwich like during lunch, but sometimes when you're super hungry, every second counts. And also, it's a cool idea when you buy like lots of bread that is on sale. Like if you go to your bread outlet store and buy like rolls like this for 50 cents or something that their expiration date is today, you can make up a bunch of these sandwiches and stick them in the freezer. That way your bread does not go bad and you still have all these sandwiches in the freezer for you guys to pull out. So today I'm only doing the ham and cheese sandwiches. I just needed something really easy to start us out, so let's get to it. Like I said, super easy recipe. All you need are sub rolls of your choice. I went to Kroger and got the Italian herb and garlic sub rolls. These things are huge, so they should be delicious. I also got a 1-pound container of smoked uncured ham from Aldi. Probably will not be using all of it. And then just some sliced provolone. You can use whatever kind of meat, whatever kind of cheese you want. It is all up to you. And then plastic wrap just to wrap up each individual sandwich. So let me show you how it's done. So like I said, yes, super easy, and it does actually save a lot of time to make sandwiches beforehand. Have you ever seen me make my homemade Uncrustables? I'll link that in the description for you all. But yes, I make my peanut butter and jelly ahead of time for Allison. I make those Uncrustables, and then, I save the crust for French toast casserole. So yes, it can be super helpful, especially if you have bread that is getting ready to go bad. So here is the sub roll. It looks like it's going to cut in the middle, which is just fine. Basically just a sandwich with 2 separate slices of bread. But got the sliced cheese here. I will probably end up cutting them in half just like that. I'll just put them on there. That would be good, just like that. And then, let's see. A serving is 6 slices. So we will put 6 slices on here. You can always add more if you want to because it's only 60 calories for 6 slices. So you're always welcome to add more. I will probably leave it at 6 just because we'll add other things with it, like I don't know, chips or fruit or something like that. So, I mean, there you have it. I mean, I just had lunch, but I really want to dig into this thing like right now because subs are my weakness and this bread smells so good. So let me get the plastic wrap. Super easy. Just wrap it all in plastic wrap, just like you would for like breakfast burritos or, you know, something similar. And because these are going to be all wrapped up, you don't need to flash freeze them, which is putting them all on a cookie sheet, like laid flat, and then you freeze it that way. Since this is all wrapped up tightly like this, I'm just going to put this straight into a freezer bag. And actually, I didn't wrap it quite as tightly as I wanted to. There's still an edge sticking out, so a little bit of extra plastic wrap. So just like this. Then you always want to make sure that you label your freezer bags with the name of what's in there and the date. I have done that multiple times where I've made things and did not label them, and then it's just a mystery as to what it is. Alright, I'm going to do the exact same thing again, but this time I'm going to do a little experiment because I've seen people make these kind of sandwiches before, and they've also put like sauces on them, so mayonnaise or mustard or something like that. And in the comments I've read people ask, well, doesn't your sandwich get soggy if you do that? So I'm experimenting, at least with this one right here. Actually, I'm going to put the meat up here because I heard that if you put the condiment, the sauce, like in between the meat and cheese, then it won't get the bread all weird and soggy. So I don't know. Leave me a comment if you could and tell me if you have done this before. Let me know how it has turned out by freezing mayonnaise on the sandwich. So I'm just going to put about a half tablespoon or so. I'll probably put it right over here on top of the bread. We'll see how that works. That should contain it pretty well, I think. Let me wrap this up. And then actually I'm going to take my Sharpie and just kind of put an M on here, just so I know that this one has mayonnaise on it. I'm going to freeze all of these. I'm going to eat this one later, and I will leave a little blip here on how it tastes and the texture and all that. So I will try that and see how it goes. But let's finish up the rest of these real quick. There's only 6 of them. Okay, so here are 4 of the sandwiches. These are all wrapped up and inside my gallon-size freezer bag, ready to go in the freezer. The one with mayo is one of these, I forget which one. But I also have 2 of them here that I am sticking in the fridge because we are going to eat these ahead of time. So that was super easy. It took me less than 10 minutes to do. So like I said, super good for if you find bread at a super cheap price and you need to freeze it right away, you can make sandwiches with it. So that one is done. Let's get into the next recipes. We are on day 2 of freezer cooking. As you can see, I just came in from outside. Allison just got on the bus. It is Monday morning and I've got 3 more recipes to make today. Yesterday I made 1, and like I said before, you don't have to do all the recipes in one day. That's kind of why I'm breaking it up into a few different days, just because I get tired really easily right now. So just a little bit at a time, and especially for busy moms, like 1 recipe a day even would be just fine as well. But I've got 3 that I'm doing today, so let me take you to the kitchen counter and show you what I'm making. I am starting off by making refried beans in the Instant Pot. So here are all of the ingredients for that. And then I'm making bean and cheese burritos with those refried beans. I'm also making a butternut squash and lentil stew. So here's most of the ingredients for that. I'm also making a spaghetti meat and veggie sauce along with some pasta to make some pasta bowls. So let me get started on the beans. All right, I get to voice this over again. The first thing I did was make the refried beans. And I love making beans in my Instant Pot because it takes like maybe an hour to get dried beans turned into fully cooked beans. So I just added a little bit of olive oil to the Instant Pot along with some onions and garlic and sauteed that for just a couple of minutes. And then I added 1 pound of the dried, rinsed pinto beans and a full carton of chicken broth. Now, yes, this is not vegan, so you can always use vegetable broth instead of the chicken broth. And I also added, I think it was 2 or 3 extra cups of water, along with some salt and a few other spices like chili powder and cumin. You can get the entire recipe down below to see for yourself. But I cooked this on manual pressure for 45 minutes, and that was perfect. So after the 45 minutes, I let it do a 25-minute natural release. So while that was going on, I added some ground turkey to the pan, along with a little bit of olive oil. To be honest, I shouldn't have added the oil at this point. I think I had figured I was going to cook the vegetables first, but no. So I cooked the turkey a little bit and then added some mushrooms and shredded carrots to this. This is going to be for the spaghetti sauce. And I love adding vegetables to my meat sauce. I'll show you more in a second, but I added about 9 ounces of pasta into that pot of boiling water. And at this point, I started to put together the butternut squash soup. I'm doing a lot at once. So I added some lentils to the bag, as well as cubed butternut squash and the rest of the onions that I had chopped up, then some garlic. This is super easy to put together just because it's basically a dump meal. You're also supposed to add vegetable broth to this, but the bag was kind of full, so I left the vegetable broth in the pantry for later. So like I said, this is 9 ounces of pasta. I didn't have a full box, so it's not going to serve 8 like I thought it would. It ended up serving 5, which was perfect for us. But just remember that I only used about half a box of pasta. Added a little bit of olive oil just to keep the pasta separated. At this point, the ground turkey and the veggie mixture was all cooked, so I added a jar of spaghetti sauce. And you know what? Adding vegetables to sauces and other things really adds, well, more nutrition for one, but it also adds a lot more food. So it feels like you're eating a whole lot more for less calories. I use this trick in basically everything I cook. If I make spaghetti sauce, it's got to have veggies in it. But at this point, I finished up the soup. And I love those bag holders, by the way. I squeezed all the air out of the gallon-sized freezer bag and I laid it out flat. I was going to put it onto a cookie sheet and then put it in the freezer. It'll freeze perfectly that way. And when it freezes flat, you're able to like fit more in your freezer that way. I learned that from experience. It is a good hack. At this point, I added the pasta to the containers. I thought I had enough for 4, but I had to add an extra one. So there was the pasta and then about a cup to 3/4 of a cup of the meat sauce. Is a ton of sauce, and let me just tell you, it was delicious. Now after it cooled, I actually added about a 1/4 cup of mozzarella cheese just so it wouldn't melt fully. And then once I put the cheese on it, I put the lids on. Now at this point, you can put it in the freezer once it's cooled off, but I use frozen meat, and you can't freeze meat that's already been thawed and cooked. So I just stuck these in the fridge and we ate these for dinner. At this point, the beans were done, so I released the pressure and the beans were fully cooked and nice and soft and delicious. So I actually drained out about 2 cups, I think it was 2 or 3 cups of broth, because I was going to use my immersion blender and I didn't want the beans to be too soupy. I like thin beans, but not like super thin. So using my immersion blender, it just took me like 5 minutes. If you don't have an immersion blender, you could use like a whisk or a masher, whatever you have available. And it is really thin at this point, but as the beans cooled, they actually thickened. So don't worry about it being too thin. I let the beans cool off just a little bit before adding them to the burritos because I didn't want the tortillas to get like really soggy. I use little tortillas, like tiny fajita sized. I don't usually use the smaller ones, so I ended up getting 21 or 22 burritos using a 1/4 cup of the beans and a tablespoon of shredded cheese. If you have some of the bigger tortillas, you could probably use a 1/2 cup of the beans and maybe like a 1/4 cup or 2 tablespoons of the cheese. But since I use smaller tortillas, I had to use less. But it also meant that we get to eat 2 little ones for dinner instead of 1 giant one. And I don't know, maybe eating 2 burritos makes it seem like you're eating more. I actually ended up with, I think, a cup or a cup and a half of extra beans. So I stuck those in the fridge and I made myself like a makeshift dip with it with some cheese and salsa and just used tortilla chips and some extra vegetables to dip into it. It was super good. The longest part of this session was wrapping the burritos and then wrapping them all in plastic wrap. But the good news is you don't have to wait to flash freeze them. You can just wrap them the way they are and stick them in a gallon-sized freezer bag, and they'll just freeze just like that because they're all separated anyway from being in the plastic wrap. I kept out a few of them to eat for dinner that night, and we still have some in the freezer. Like, they're super good to have on hand for just grab-and-go lunches. You could pair them with tortilla chips. We also had roasted zucchini with them one night, so really, really good. Now let's go into the next day. I am making some ground turkey teriyaki bowls. So I've got 2 pounds of ground turkey, I've got jasmine rice, teriyaki sauce, and 3 bags of the broccoli stir fry from Aldi. And I love how simply this meal comes together. There is basically only 3 parts to it, but it goes by super fast. I started off with, I think, a cup, maybe a cup and a half of the jasmine rice, stuck it in my rice cooker with a little bit of water and set that to go. It'll take about 30 to 40 minutes for it to cook. Then I added both pounds of ground turkey. And once again, since these were frozen, I didn't plan on freezing these. I was just going to eat them for dinner throughout the week. So I cooked all of that in a pan, while at the same time I added about a tablespoon or two of olive oil to the big pot, and then added the stir fry veggies, set them to cook and stir occasionally for probably about 20 minutes or so. And that's basically it. You're just doing those 3 things simultaneously, super easy. I also added a half cup of teriyaki sauce to the meat. If you can choose your brand of teriyaki sauce, I used Great Value. You could also make your own. I'm sure there are recipes out there. Then after a while, I added some seasonings to the frozen vegetables, just some pepper and garlic powder, onion powder, and let that cook for a little bit longer. Now here's everything done. The jasmine rice looks amazing. There's the vegetables and the meat mixture. Now it's just a matter of putting everything into the containers. And I realized I love jasmine rice, or even just like white rice in general for Asian dishes. I usually use brown rice, but I think for Asian dishes from now on, I'm just gonna get like jasmine rice. And that was at Dollar Tree. It was really, really good. So I used about 3/4 of a cup of the rice and about 3/4 cup of the meat, I think. Once I got to the 6th one, I ended up not having enough meat, so I kind of stole a little bit from each of the other ones. And then I believe it was about a cup of the vegetables. So holy cow, this was a ton of food, and we totally enjoyed this one. I think this one may be one of my favorites. It's got plenty of protein from the ground turkey, plenty of fat, healthy carbs, so super, super good. And I have one container there that is different from the others, so I'm sorry to all you who have OCD. But all you do is wait till it cools and then put the lids on them and stick them straight in the freezer. You can use a sticker or like a Post-it or something to write the date and the name on it too. So here I am making the butternut squash soup. I just added the entire bag to the slow cooker. I thawed it overnight a little bit. Then I added that whole container of vegetable broth, and I cooked it on low for, oh gosh, I think it was like 6 hours. Somebody here told me that red lentils cook a whole lot quicker and they tend to get mushy. So I think I was just kind of testing it out to see how it would do. And yes, you were right. Red lentils get very mushy. I mean, it still tasted good. It just had kind of a mushy consistency, I guess. So I used about a cup and a half of the soup, and we served that with some bread. And then here we're just showing you all of the rest of the lunches. I'm going to have all the nutrition info up above for you. I hope this video has given you tons of ideas to fill your freezer with lunches or even dinners. Next week, week 3, is all about dinners, so make sure you stay tuned for that. I've got a lot of like family-friendly casseroles and things, and they're all super delicious. Like I said before, check the links in the description for the printable recipes so you can print them out and use them in your own time. Leave me a comment and let me know which of these recipes you want to try, or if you have made something else that's not on my list, let me know what you made because I'm always always looking for more ideas as well. Like I said, next week is dinner, and then the week after that will be desserts and snacks, so look forward to that. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring that bell so you guys can be notified when this video comes out again, as well as my other grocery hauls, recipes, and meal planning tips. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you later.